All right. So now, thank you all. So now I'm going to be back here. Next container we're going to look at is the one we're using for the 2019 Django-based projects here. So I'm going to just kind of pull up the repo quickly so we can take a look at it itself, and then we're going to follow the instructions here in the Docker Hub to start up and run the image then. So yeah, right now, basically, just to get some background here, this image that we run is basically starting up a Django project, and it has the geospatial libraries you would need to actually do a geospatial API.
The branch is staging?
Right now it's on staging because we are not, we don't quite have the production container up there yet. So basically what I was going to show you here is we have a Travis file, which is actually responsible for taking this code and deploying it out to Docker Hub here. Basically what we're doing is pulling seeing if there's a current version of the image, we're pulling basically into the cache, building fresh from that, checking to make sure it actually runs here and that you're finding it in running containers. Otherwise, it will basically cancel this. So this is a basic way of checking that the image actually builds and runs. And then once it does there, we're using Travis, which is a continuous integration development system, to then deploy the image to Docker Hub itself. And within our Travis deploy script here for Docker, we have basically a check on which branch you're on. Let me pull this up here. And if you're on the staging branch, this is going to basically push to a Docker Hub development repo I've created. That's basically for testing of the Docker image itself. For any projects, whether you're in development or production, you're going to be using basically the branch that's deployed from master, which tags the image without the -dev at the end. We don't quite have that deployed now. I'm just going through some PR requests on that. So tonight we're going to use the development image as training. Does that answer your question there?
Yeah, just when I was doing this before I hit master, it was empty.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to look at the other branches.
Yeah. We're going to be there soon. There'll be something there soon. So yeah, that kind of gives you an idea here of how we're deploying these images so we get them to your environment. That's fine where I am. I guess kind of here, starting again, if we look at our configuration here, let's go ahead and then start again with the Docker file. So this one here, we're also pulling from Python 3.7. You'll see some of this looks familiar. We might have seen a little bit earlier here. But basically because we want to install a Postgres 11 client, which is not currently available in the Python-based image. There, what we've had to do is basically add a script where we're adding in the Postgres app repository so that we can then install the latest Postgres client there in the application. The reason we're doing that is we have a wait script that waits for the Postgres to be up and working before the Django application starts up. Otherwise, you wouldn't necessarily need to install that. And I'm not sure if we may, right now that helps for development when you're starting up an image, you don't get a bunch of errors if you're, say, connecting to a development database. I'm not sure if we're going to keep that in our production environment because it basically prevents our API images from starting up if the Postgres isn't available. And that basically it starts up, but then it stops. So if there's an issue connecting to Postgres, I think we might just want to fail fast as opposed to waiting for Postgres to never start up. Basically have a container that's running and not working. That's a little bit in the weeds here. So getting back then, the next thing we're doing is that because most of our APIs connect to geospatial data, for your geospatial, Django and other applications that want to be able to do queries around things like how distance from point A to point B. There are some special libraries that we need to install an operating system. That's what we're doing here. Kind of some of this is similar to what we've seen before, creating a directory to put our code in, and then we're declaring that a work directory. We're making sure our pip as well as our setup tools are up to date there. This will come in later when we're talking about Django application development and later training. And then we're going ahead and we're installing our Django requirements from a requirements file called common.txt. And then we're moving our basic Django application, server configuration, and other Django Python application. I'll show these files here in the stack into our code directory. And provided we're not declaring another entry point in our Docker compose, it will run this file.
Yeah. So, we were talking about the immutability of Docker as like a plus. So, do you have access to, say, like apt-get within your container once you get running? I mean, can you like install new packages? Do they just don't stick around, or what's the?
Yeah, that's kind of if you're just going in and running it in what's basically called the IT there. Earlier I showed where I went into the Ubuntu containers in there and stuff like that. So you can go into that container and install, but if you're not installing it in that space where you're reading back to the volume, then yeah, it would be gone when you say stop the container restart. If you install it into the volume space, whatever directory that is, and it's basically linking back to your own system. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing here. And now the next step, let's see, then is I'm going to go ahead and open up our Docker Hub for this, and then we're going to go ahead and then run through the process of creating an image around it and getting a Docker set up. And we'll be able to kind of see a basic compose file and go through steps here in a bit more detail. So go ahead now. So you notice here too, this links back, this build path, and that brings back to the Travis build there. And then shows that the most recent build that we did actually passed the full process and any tests that you have set up. The production we still don't have there yet. So this is some of the configuration we want to put into the Docker container itself, so individual teams won't have to kind of deal with some of these processes and make it easier to get up and working with a configuration where you know. So those are the things we've done here within the Docker container is we have configured a Django 2 cross and Python 3 cross project that can provide a base for Django REST framework application. We've pre-configured that project to use cores, headers, as well as a repo known as white noise for static access state. We've allowed it to connect to a Postgres 11.2 client, as well as have the packages for PostGIS and GeoDjango. Within the Python package, we provide a database router that allows you to connect to multiple databases that you would define in Python settings, so Django settings. We provide a standardized method then that we can go in and maintain some of the HackOrigin core dependencies and settings without having to go to individual 5 projects, 10 projects, and configure them. You can basically configure the image, and then we trigger builds and pull the base image and get all those changes to individual directories. We're publishing that through Docker Hub, through a Travis continuous integration and development pipeline we've shown there. And we've configured a Unicorn server there to run your Django application in HTTP server. The nice thing about this here too, I think I get going to be an add in here, but we've also configured this application to input low-code Django settings as well as constant URLs at runtime. So while we configure settings, we also give you a way to override my settings
only accessible by hack-working people?
No, this is publicly accessible on Docker Hub as well as within Hacker.
Okay. My link, the link and the thing that
Okay. Yeah, we'll make sure this is working if it is not correct. Because maybe there's something with our organization on Docker Hub.
Maybe if you're in Docker Hub, try looking up, just start typing hack.org in CIVIC, and I think it comes up as the only thing.
Yes, it should be the only repo and all.
That's what I've been doing.
There you go. When you actually, as it says here, when you're actually using this, we're talking about it in the API course. When you're using this as part of a project, you're going to be deploying this as part of using a cookie cutter, which there has some work to do right here in the next week or two. So you're not going to be necessarily following the steps we're doing tonight for the API project, but this will kind of give you a background of what's gone into. So if everyone wants to kind of follow along here, I think the first thing we'll go ahead and do is create a directory somewhere on your host system in order to host it. I'm just going to make there. Once you're in that directory, you can go ahead and the first step we're going to do is create a Docker file here. You can do this in any text editor. I end up using Atom, but you know, as long as it's you do whatever text editor or developer. Started by Docker file here. All right, go ahead and then copy this code over. So since this image is up here on Docker Hub, we're going to be pulling from the image. Now, as I mentioned there, we currently only have the development, so we're going to add this -dev. And you kind of want to just copy and paste this whole file. That's probably easiest here. And then just update that first one, -dev at the end. So basically, we're starting with that Docker file we saw before then, and on top of that, we're going to move into that work directory code that we created in that base image. Now we're going to copy, a local requirements file into that directory too. If you have additional, Python requirements there, you can copy them into that. Let's see here. We're also going to have to create here in a few minutes a local settings directory to house those local schedule settings there. And we're going to install all those requirements. We're going to copy any of our other files into the code directory. We're going to make sure we have execution access, permissions on all of our files. And then if we did not create a Docker, or Docker code that provides this, it would automatically run that on startup. Does everyone have this in a Looker file then? The next thing here you would do then is create a .env file, which would be a file on your local machine to keep any environmental variables you want to pass in. I would say if you sometimes the .env file is something you might be putting in some secrets or credentials in. So if you're doing that and you're doing this on GitHub before and you're going to be posting anything to GitHub, I always recommend making a git ignore first and then putting the .env in there if you do not have one already. I'm not actually pushing this. I think I got that right. So that way you're ensured you're not sending any of your credentials up onto GitHub. I'm going to copy my, I'm going to create my actual .in. Let's copy these over here. In this instance, I'm not going to be, we're going to go ahead and take out the Postgres stuff here today, since we're not actually connecting to a database. What we're going to do is just use a local secret like database within the container here today, just so we can see the app start up and not have to have a database ready. That's outside. We've kind of created the Docker image as far as the settings there to look for a Postgres name variable. If it sees that, then it will attempt to connect to the Postgres database. Otherwise, it will default to a SQLite in-memory database within the container. So the next thing here we're going to do is create our local settings files there. And these would be if you need to override a hack origin settings. So what we're going to do is create a folder within Docker training called local_settings. So in this here, I'm going to create a settings.py. And in this, if I need to go ahead and override any of the basic Django settings, I can do that within this file here. So in terms of Django settings, there's a whole bunch of different settings within Django. Things like connecting to your database, what host can actually hit your API or backend. And yeah, this will be beyond the scope of the course today, but we'll definitely dive into during the API development. But let's just say, for example, you had a Django app, so packages, dependencies that we needed to install that we did not include. So one example would be the API applications that teams are actually developing is something that, will not be in the base image, but you'll need to install locally. So you can go ahead and just put it in there. That would be more familiar to kind of people that worked with Django before. In this case, because when we don't have this, we are not going to install that there. Let's take that out. I think all of these are actually in the base image, so we don't necessarily need the local settings, but we're just kind of included here as an example. The next file you could create here would be a, get back to the, would be if you were creating your application and you had URLs or endpoints within the application you built, you could then import them from a local URL file. Since we don't actually have them, we're not going to build this here today, because if you import a blank URL file, it will actually give you an error on the app. So we're going to not include this file here. We're also not going to be overriding any Unicorn server settings today. So today, we'll just create that one settings file as an example. Now, in terms of the requirements.txt, since that is included in our Docker file right now, and I don't want to get an error again, I'm going to just create a empty requirements file, but at this time, we don't need to install any local requirements. The last thing one of the last things we need to make here then is our Docker compose here. And this tells us, since we don't want to keep recreating like a big long Docker run statement where basically we're passing in all these different variables each time. We're just going to go ahead and create this file here. So we'll build within the local context. It's going to run our Docker file. I'm going to have to update this since I capitalized my Docker file. It's going to create an image named API. It's going to run that Docker entry point file. It's going to create a volume from my local directory to a source files directory within the image. You know, my ports are mapping just my 8,000 to 8,000. When we run this, if anyone has something running on port 8,000, you might need to update here. We'll get to that if you have an error. And then we're just passing in my my environmental variables. I think that would check that this did update. I'm not sure if it changed. Okay, yeah. You want to actually refer to the README in the GitHub there. Let me update this. I'll just take 1 second. Sure.
The entry point wasn't changed on GitHub, or was it the Docker components?
In terms of, yeah.
What's your updating on it?
Yeah, I think it was the entry point, because it should go to the source files. The main thing I had to update from the initial version is that I was basically overriding the bin folder twice, so it wasn't getting kind of the right version of file there. Because basically if you create a volume, but then you also have that volume matching, like if I called that volume code, I would overwrite all the files in my code directory within that Docker container on runtime. Then I'd be basically missing like Django project files and other stuff there. So I realized that probably to make an effective update and change the name of the volume. So basically there, yeah. Oh, let's run this, and there might be something we need to come back, but then we can troubleshoot if we need to. So the next thing then is, let's see here. So now we have that entry point file within the bin folder. So we're going to go ahead and create a bin folder to house that Docker entry point file.
That's just within that Docker training folder.
Yeah. We'll go back to root and create a bin. And this is just been a convention we've used. I guess create that as a file. Folder.
I don't understand that one part where you say create a Docker compose Docker. Did you create that?
Did I, or did I just show it to you?
I think you just showed it to us.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back.
It would be called Docker compose.
Yeah, that's correct there. Docker has some conventions where it automatically expects certain namings that you can then override. So Docker-compose, Dockerfile, those are things that we'll automatically look at. And another example there is in the Docker compose here, how it's pulling in the environmental variables.
this is one where you change Docker file to uppercase.
Yeah, let's go up there, because I called it Docker. In Docker, that should be. So the other thing here that's neat about the compose is that it has a process by which you'll pull in environmental variables. So this is, basically doing interpolation from environmental variables and passing the environmental variables from your host system into the container itself. I can take this one out because
You don't need Postgres stuff.
yeah, we don't need the Postgres stuff here. I can leave it in though because it is going to default to empty string, but in this case you would not necessarily need to pass it in, I think. But one thing that's neat here is that because I named my credential file .env, the Docker Compose is automatically going to work at the .env in that same directory when it's looking at interpreting these environmental variables. That can then be overridden actually on runtime and stuff. So there's a whole system of what Docker will look at when trying to set that type of configuration. That's going to be on the scope here tonight. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to pull in, we're going to create that entry point script. Now, let's see. So there's this weird thing in Docker Hub where you're doing code. It converts some things here. So if you copy and paste it from here, you're going to get an error, which I called out up here. So I'm just going to copy it from. That should be the caret ampersand 2. Not running. There's a few README updates, so I guess you guys have to make. This should work fine, though. This just is not actually running the Unicorn server, so I'll copy this over and then I'll. This last line here, this would be running the Python Django built-in development server here. But we're going to run it within Unicorn instead and pull in that configuration file we created. So I'm just going to do that instead. I'll put that into Snap. Now with this then, we should be pretty much ready to try and run things. So if we get any errors. The first step then is we'll go ahead. You could technically, if you've never run it before, and you could technically just do the up and not do the build, but just want to do it in 2 steps here. At this point, we're pulling it down off Docker Hub. This one's a little bit bigger there, so I think that a lot of that might be actually the Postgres too. So if we take that out, we might be able to swim down the container size a bit.
How big is the entire image?
I mean, I'm thinking maybe it gets to like half a gig or something. Some of it, I mean, it's that and it's the GIS libraries in there too. But
Okay.
So we've gone ahead and pulled it, not too long there. Let's try and do the pull it up. So as we were saying there, create some network. So this is something you see sometimes there when you're creating shell images and they don't have executable permission. So there might be a few ways to do this. My usual is just a schema and give it executable permission. Oh yeah, sorry. Typing in front of people.
That's hard.
Flat down. Great.
Let's try that again. Where did I need to do it within the container.
In the Docker file, you do have a run chmod for all the Python files.
Yeah, maybe I could do it there. I usually can do it just in my root, but go for it. Let's see. Not in any where I'm actually trying to run it.
This is actually a good demo of when you run build now. It's going to skip all the steps before this. Because all those are pre-built. You get to the run chmod command down block. So like steps 1 through 9, already done. Downloading, already done. You change the line at the bottom of the file, we're going to rebuild past that line. So you can see 9 and 11 is all done.
It's probably it's code at that point. Actually, no, it should be. So most of this is just I kind of was doing some of the instructions quickly there at the end, so I think I might have combined two different build paths. Let's see there. So at that point it was given the
it has to be absolute.
Yeah.
I
I didn't do
colon.
yeah, colon.
And then the forward slash.
Yeah. We got Django. So yeah, there will be a couple of things to tweak and update there in those instructions, but that kind of gives you an idea there of being, it's without that, we'd have to install the packages locally, configure the Django app, and do a few steps there to get to this point. So now the last thing here I'm going to want to do is just I have a example that that basically uses it and builds upon a API we did last year. So I'm just going to spin that up here and show you all quickly. And then hope you have a few minutes for questions or anything else there. Then. So let's see. So in this one, I have some build scripts that will run my controls automatically. Last year, as we mentioned, we had some different patterns. We had additional Docker files for development. So this was sort of a bit different there, but it is still in the Docker file. You see I have point from the same image. So,
Can you go back to that document?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
So there's some like individual pip installs.
So what?
It doesn't look like you're doing that chmod. I don't know what changed.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But yeah, normally I haven't had to do that all the time. So for the shell files, I usually chmod it in my local system. This one here, so this one is an example of, we have the actual HackerOrigin package. So this year we're going to be creating packages that will be able to actually deploy to pip there on pip install directly into either on a development version or or in production report in a repository itself. So this one we have separate, common versus development versus maybe production Python dependencies. So this gives the option to be able to do two different ones based on the environment. And this is here where we're installing the local Python package. Just to give you some idea of what's going on in the back. So again, because we've already pulled a lot of that information there, we're going to have to go through all the caching and downloading of the Docker image itself. It's just jumping into some of the package installation. I was debugging stuff, so I just threw in a bunch of hours in there to make sure where things were in the repo. So because I had my other Docker image running shortly there and it did not close down, I got this full error. So I'm going to have to go ahead and then make sure I killed and removed my Docker technique with this thing. Because I'm not really worried if there's anything else running right now, just running this command, I'll basically kill anything running. And then start up again.
What does the D mean there?
In my shell script, that was a flag to tell it to start up a development versus a production. Second. Remove my containers, restart there. Should just give it a minute. So this will probably stop a minute, and then we'll need to just go in and see the browsable Django API. While waiting there, I just want to maybe open up for some questions, comments, see any kind of outlying issues there. I think hopefully tonight there what we've done is kind of give a brief overview of what Docker is, how it works, differences between Docker and virtual machines. Then kind of how to start up and run a few different Docker containers to give you ideas of what there's the complexity there, some of the benefits we give. So I want to open up for questions people might ask you.
So if we're having trouble fine-tuning our Docker file, what is the first place to go to for help?
Okay, I mean, definitely back, if you are having to do things like that, in terms of Hack Oregon resources, you can reach out and subscribe to either the backend or infrastructure channels. In terms of though, Docker itself gives you some pretty, not the hub, but Docker, I kind of like the Docker documents. I think they've done a pretty good job outlining kind of the concepts, all the different, how to develop with Docker, kind of, they really build upon one step to next, how to run it in production there. So I'd say, I usually, some companies, I don't go to their documents, for Docker, I generally wear there. They even give you like a Docker Django quick start. You guys kind of want to get, the idea of like the background of where all Django projects started. We can go here and just give you a good like overview. Similar steps to what we did here tonight. So, if you want to learn about, and I'll try to put some of these resources in the slide at the end here or something like that. Just also doing one in Docker environment or variables. So, you should just first one here, yeah. This is a good guide into how you get what the different types of environmental variables and stuff you might see in Docker, in the Docker file as well, and how to get set. So I'll put that in there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, those would be awesome to read too.
Cool. So there's going to be more work on what's the template name?
The cookie cutter?
Cookie cutter.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely there. I can see it. So if I push that here to. So in the cookie cutter, basically, then probably the next, if you need to get going up and working earlier or something like that, we can touch base individually, but definitely by the API training, that should be very fleshed out here. Over to that screen. Yeah. In terms of, I'm on the test Docker branch, that's where I've been developing this to connect to that. So basically from here, you'll be able to spin up automated project with, your name, your project name, and certain things already configured in there. And it will basically create the framework, including.
Will that include the Docker file?
Yeah. Yeah. This is basically the repo you'll be given. You'll be given once you've run the cookie cutter templating system there. So you have the Docker file, Docker compose, example environment settings. All this will be ready there. So we're up and working. And this is where your Python package will be. So.
And then will the API training also include like deployment?
Yes. Yeah, definitely there. Definitely. Deployment for the APIs will also be through Travis continuous integration there. So we'll agree that should be as long as you're pushing code to the back end working. Other questions here?
So you showed the transportation. What was the one that you showed?
Oh yeah. So that was one that, this isn't actually a live project or anything like that. This was one based on last year's that I was using just to kind of test out and make sure everything I was doing was working. Let me see if it started up yet. Okay. I might have changed around some environmental variables. Let's see. Oh, that's it. Okay. Yeah, I was playing around with it. But this is basically what I was talking about. It's waiting for Postgres to start up and it can't find it, so the app's never starting. But that's because I was trying to create a database earlier for process.
The total concept here, and I'm just saying this because we talked about it before, but I want to get it in my brain, is that basically your source code for the projects, each individual project will be in that code folder. And that's, the Docker file will be able to interact with that outside of it. And is there a good example? Does this example exist anywhere, or like, is it GitHub as a repo or anything like that?
This transportation one?
Yeah.
Not quite yet. I think the question, I mean, the main thing is because this one's connected to our production database. The credential is actually connected to the database. But I think, you know, basically for the API training one, I think basically with the Postgres training next week, we're going to try to spin up a training database environment and put a database in it. And then for the API one, we'll actually have a database people can connect to for the training purpose, is, you know, outside of any actual projects.
So is the Postgres is next week?
Yeah.
And then the API is the week after? Or?
Yeah, that's correct there.
Are there any other trainings?
I think at some point we might want to do, it won't be the following week, but maybe a few weeks down the line, we were talking about doing a like AWS for developers. So AWS is cloud services. Yeah. Like when you ask for permissions, what does that mean? What is, you know, what are the common stuff? Not so much how to configure a cloud formation template or anything like that.
It's awesome that you guys are doing this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Were you asking because you wondered if there were other times or there are just other topics?
No, just kind of trying to get a sense of
okay.
what resources were available.
So for next week's Postgres training, is it more so for setting up the database or more so for using the database to get data?
Get data.
To get data, not to set it up.
Loading it in, querying it, joining it, performance, stuff like that.
So we have a couple of databases that are going to be quite large.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have like a copy running on my machine, you know, the query takes, you know, 15, 20 seconds. And like, I've never worked with a database that's bigger than a couple of gigs.
How big is yours about to start with?
Maybe 5 gigs. And then we're going to have another one that is like potentially like double digits. And I don't know like where to start as far as like trying to get the query time down, or like if I need to make like aggregation tables that are like being formed, or like if there's some sort of like caching that I can do, like what is that, or are those things that we might
cover? 4 tips.
Okay.
There's like materialized views, or figuring out indexes, or ways to explain the query so you can focus on what needs to be optimized.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, cool. I will maybe touch base with you first.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing that the platform team is definitely here to support, is like those types of questions where you're like alone on a team or maybe one developer. You're like, I don't know how to do this, you know, definitely. You can reach out to one of us or put it in that Slack channel there as well. Definitely, if we're not doing training, or can talk about it during a meeting or time to seek out one support projects as well. So yeah, I guess just show you here quickly. So I got the correct database credentials in there. So this is the front end Swaggle API, browsable API for the endpoint. And you can see here I pulled up one of the ones that was able to pull the data and get the JSON response from the database. And that was all, you know, I wrote some code before this, but in terms of the actual server and everything, I just pulled that down and got it running here. I didn't have it installed on the computer before. Tonight I removed it off. So, any other questions or concerns here? Awesome. I want to thank you all for coming. I hope this was useful for everybody, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much.